My name is Alex Lagrassa, and I'm from the Carnegie Mellon Robotics Institute. I will present a method for robots to learn skills to patch plans based on inaccurate models. General-purpose robots for manipulation can address problems in areas such as agriculture, healthcare, and food preparation. However, robots must quickly adapt to different goals and environments, with the engineering and data resources available in that setting. For example, a robot in a restaurant used to wipe down counters might suddenly need to acquire a cutting skill. Engineering using simple models can accomplish a large part of the task, but the model can fail for some parts of the task. For example, the forward kinematics model might be accurate enough to get the knife to a cucumber, but become inaccurate when in contact with the cucumber, as each cucumber will have different properties such as friction, size, stiffness, and ease of cutting. Accurate models of some objects, such as textiles, articulated objects, granular material, and other deformable objects are difficult to obtain. A learned skill is a mapping from state to action distribution. The skill is model-free if it does not use an explicit mapping from ST and AT to ST+1. One way the robot can acquire this skill is through learning from demonstration. Demonstrations can come from sources such as teleoperation, kinesthetic teaching by moving the robot arm, like in the example to the right, and extracting information from a video demonstration. Another way to acquire learned skills through reinforcement learning, where the robot learns the policy by interacting with the environment, finding policies for even quite contact-rich manipulation tasks, like solving a Rubik's Cube. Why learn skills if the robot already has access to models of the world? Using already available models with a model-based planner for manipulation skills offers advantages, such as a higher potential for generalization over tasks, and requiring no or little data. However, inaccurate models can cause problems at execution time. In contrast, model-free skill learning needs less expert knowledge and no predefined models, but requires more data collection. Our goal is to determine how we can use anomaly detection to patch a model-based planner with a learned skill. The model-based planner computes a series of states and actions such that the last state, Sn+1, is in a goal state region. We represent the series of states with the dotted green line. Our method needs to define and estimate the red region, S tilde, where the model is likely to fail, in contrast to the green region where the model is accurate. The last step is for the robot to learn a skill, represented using the blue arrow and corresponding precondition for the skill, represented using the blue region at the corner of the hole, so the skill can be used if the robot detects or predicts model failure. Robots can use models, from highly accurate to uncertain, for contact-rich manipulation. If the robot encounters model failure during execution, one approach is to avoid regions of model failure during planning. Planners can reason about dynamics over multiple contact modes to compute plans for dexterous manipulation and locomotion. Skills for contact-rich tasks can be learned through model-free learning, but can often require a lot of data to generalize over state space, objects, and tasks. A promising approach has been to combine the two. Sometimes, planners are used for exploration to train a skill end-to-end. Other times, the planner is used to combine manipulation primitives with learned components, or a system chooses when to use a learned skill and when to use the planner. Our contribution falls most closely into the last case, choosing when to use a learned skill and when to use a model-based planner. During training time, the robot starts from multiple starting positions to collect data on where the model fails, and to learn a skill to complete the task after model failure. The first step is for the planner to compute the list of states and actions, which are then executed. The robot saves a history of which expected states are observed and which unexpected states are observed. When an unexpected state is encountered, the robot asks for help from a human operator, who provides the expert demonstration to complete the task. If the observed next state ST+1 is expected, then the robot continues executing the plan, adding ST to a dataset of points where the model works as expected. At test time, the robot plans to the goal state, like at training time. However, based on the plan and data gathered during the training phase, the robot predicts whether model failure will occur. If so, it plans to go to the precondition and then complete the skill. During execution, the policy selector determines whether the action should be from the plan or from the learned skill. Because most planners can tolerate some amount of uncertainty in the transition model, we consider an anomalous detection to be one that is outside the posterior distribution for st plus 1 given st and at. The posterior distribution is a function of the previous state and the distance between configurations at state st and st plus 1. It is important to use multiple modes of anomaly detection. In the example shown on the right, the robot configurations detected using the joint encoders were accurate, but the shape in the hand is clearly slightly misaligned. For example, it can be misaligned in translation due to the pose error during grasping, or misaligned in orientation due to in-hand movement. Sometimes, contact with the board even causes the shape to rotate with respect to the peg the robot holds. For shape insertion, small in-hand object pose estimation errors can cause the push-down motion of the robot to be blocked. For the examples we show on the right, the robot experiences contact prematurely when pushing down to insert the shape because it missed the hole. ST before the pushdown action is then considered to be in the region of model failure. Thus, we use a model of deviation from the trajectory based on distance between configurations, as well as a model of whether the robot should expect contact for a given state in action. For example, in this video, the robot is following the plan computed by the planner. It is able to sample grasps and find one that does not collide with the obstacle during either grasping or placing. However, when it goes to insert the shape, it finds unexpected contact. That point is added to the dataset of points where the robot detected model failure. After detected model failure during training, a human provides keyboard teleoperation commands to move to a skill starting location, start the skill, and then provides actions to complete the task. We provide up to 20 demonstrations over 3 shapes. We use imitation learning using random forest regression due to its sample efficiency and the fact that the slide-in task does not need a policy with more representational power. The reason we can use random forest and so little data is because the initiation set for the learned skill is so small. The policy does not need to cover insertions from all starting regions. The input to the imitation learning policy is a camera image cropped to show the goal region for the shape. That input is then embedded into a latent space by a variational autoencoder trained offline to obtain a low-dimensional representation of the visual information. That latent space representation is concatenated with the robot's end effector pose, then used as input where an expert action is the label. The output of the random forest regression is an action. The initiation set of the learned skill is then modeled as a Gaussian distribution fit to the distribution of starting states where the human indicated that the learned skill was beginning. In this next section, I will show results from our real robot implementation for a shape insertion task and a door opening task. In all these experiments, we use a Franco arm equipped with effort-based force-torque sensing. We use an overhead camera with April tags for pose estimation of the shapes and holes. The door handle is at a known pose. The shapes are started from each spot in a 4x2 grid excluding the goal region. If an obstacle is in the scene, it is placed in the straight line path from the starting position to the goal. The robot needs to insert the shape without hitting the obstacle. We run our experiments using a square, a rectangle, and a circle. For the door opening task, the door is latched, so the robot needs to turn the handle and pull the door open. We experiment using 2 different kinds of handles. This video shows the robot completing shape insertion using our method. It detects that the last few states of the trajectory are in S tilde, the region of model failure. As a result, it plans to go to a state in the initiation set of the learned skill. It uses the planner to pick up the block and navigate around the obstacle to get to the starting state for the skill. It then switches to using the learned skill and completes the task. A success indicates the shape was placed entirely in the hole. A partial success means that part of the shape was in the hole by the task end, but not all of it. A failure is either not being inserted into the hole at all or hitting the obstacle. We compare our method to 2 baselines, directly executing the shape insertion using the plan found by the planner, and learning an end-to-end imitation trajectory using dynamic movement primitives, or DMPs. First, we show results without an obstacle, and then results where an obstacle is placed between the shape and corresponding hole. Without the obstacle, executing the trajectory found by the planner in DMP results in a partial success most of the time. When using our method, we observe full insertion 19 out of 21 trials, in comparison to 4 out of 21 trials using the DMP and 1 out of 20 using the plan from the planner. The advantages of our method are more apparent when an obstacle is present in the workspace. Although the DMP was trained using an example that goes up to avoid the obstacle, it still failed to insert the shape without collision 13 out of 21 times. The planner showed similar ratios of partial success and failure to the example using the obstacle, owing 1 collision to noise in the obstacle pose. Our method still successfully inserted the shape, avoiding the obstacle 16 out of 21 times. For this experiment, we started each shape from each starting region and randomly sampled whether or not to place an obstacle in the path. We were able to get a significant performance increase over both baselines with even 1 demonstration. With more samples, the shape insertion task performance increased to 19 out of 21, achieved with 20 demonstrations for all shapes. For door opening, we use a model of a rectangular handle that the robot grasps, then turns with a fixed radius determined by the handle's length. We execute the plan on both the handle used for planning and a more decorative handle, shown on the left, with different geometry than the one used for planning. No model deviations were detected for either handle during execution. Although the planner used a simple model of the door with a rectangular handle, the plan computed by the planner still executed without model deviation detected 10 out of 10 times, even when the rectangular handle used for planning was replaced with a more decorative handle. For this particular task, our method detected that no skill learning was necessary. We have defined and evaluated a method to use anomaly detection to combine model-based planning with a learned skill that doesn't use predefined models that accomplishes the following design objectives. The learned skill compensates for specific, empirically determined planner deficiencies, reducing the number of conditions the learned skill needs to generalize over. The end result is a more reliable system for planning and execution for manipulation with lower overall system complexity. Most importantly, our method provides a way for the robot to strategically select which parts of the task it needs to learn a skill for, which saves the human user's valuable time. We thank Kevin Zhang, Jackie Liang, Mohit Sharma, and many others for providing the infrastructure needed for the robot experiments. I would also like to thank the Office of Naval Research and Army Research Laboratory for funding this work. Thank you for listening to my talk.